Hello, this is me, Oatson from Nerdimations, and today I'm continuing the Uncolonized series. Now, I'm going to. First thing I'm going to do is check if anyone actually commented on my YouTube video. Because, I spent quite a bit on making sure that these YouTube videos actually got comments. The only th- and the only thing is that nobody commented still. So once again I'm going to be making up all the things that happen here. Anyways, he's, he's, without much further ado, let's begin. So after the fallout from the war from the war or between the Cuba and Luba kingdoms, the Congo had been left as the true victor. They had taken almost no losses or damages, yet they now basically had what was all needed to cultivate an empire. Only three weeks earlier, they were able to, all to force their the neighboring states states to the neighboring states that were under their vassaltry into their puppets. Oh, not even puppets. Basically now part of the Congo kingdom. But the Congo were still trying to continue being progressive, even their works dividing their own kingdom themselves, all into areas to make better governing strategies. Though something interesting is that they did not do this to the what to their eastern vassals. Number one, because they were harder to access and were partially insured by the Cuba Kingdom. And number two, because, why? But it turns out the Congolese still wanted more, which is not surprising for African kingdoms, as who have just won a ton of wars. Their new fight, though, was going to be against the Aniziku kingdom, right here. The Aniziku were have been significantly concerned by the Congo's expansion and his policies, and their recent destruction of the Luba kingdom, and the Tipu Tip in the Cuba Luba War. But their main trouble was simply stopping French raid was stopping French soldiers who continuously went down the many rivers in the area to raid them, as they were like the imminent threat. But then, out of straight up nowhere, there, guess who came out? Bam! The the Congo sent in 60,000 soldiers into the inn, totally wrecking the capacity of the Anaziku kingdom, and forcing them to surrender within weeks. The Congo just took in out a country their own size for the second time. The Griboma. Why is it so hard to pronounce these names? Seems like, damn, who was punching the keyboard this time? Well, they also one decided to go under Congolese suzerainty to, not die. And, and yes, these you guys already have basically paid helping in the Congolese enough because they were the ones who allowed the Congo to totally knock out the Tipu tip. If you're not getting any ideas, in at a moment's notice. And now, it wasn't only that they were their vassal. Soon after, don't mind that, they were forced to join the Congolese kingdom. Congo, though, continued its industrialization, especially around Sao Salvador and Masamba Luango, with the goal of hopefully being able to stand up to the Europeans. Now that it had a population of about 1.5 million. The Sokoto, though, definitely stood as the most powerful kingdom kingdom in Africa at the moment, with an estimated 10 million people, well, people minus the Borgu states. Speaking of the Sokoto, they're still up to no good. They they bur they burned down multiple British ships, and also when the British offered or joint control of Lagos, the Sokoto literally blew up the delegates, which was enough of disrespect for the British that the British went straight back to war under Queen Victoria's own orders. Fight them. But the British, and even though Britannica may rule the waves, basic once once they had taken Lagos, and prepared to move on, they were totally wrecked by the Sokoto and forced to flee back on their ships, where they simply just began a 12-hour naval bombardment of the city. Then the next day they came back and did it again. For the majority of December of 1883 to March of 1884, this was the pattern, which was annoying for the Sokoto as this was literally their only port, or being blown up continuously. By February, even the British were questioning why they were still doing this because there was not much of Lagos left. And on March the 14th was the last bombing raid, when finally the British saw that there was little to nothing left of Lagos. It was to even blow up. Wow. They ended up having to sign a treaty that still let the Sokoto just own this place. These poor guys. The Brit But then, on March the 21st, when the rebuilding of the city began, and the British went back for more, as if they hadn't just signed a treaty. Like, UK, you already lost it. It doesn't matter anymore. It really doesn't. The Sokoto continued industrialization and to make sure that they could so that they could actually stand up to the British. And we still have more stuff that happens. Now that the Congo were actually looking somewhat scary, countries including their old allies had started to realize that they needed to stand together if they didn't want to become another of the Congo's growing list of vassals and provinces. And so, and, and so, three different kingdoms came together. Kingdoms with their own major cities, kingdoms that had their own power. They were the Ndeble, the, the Yeke, the ones who had fought the Luba kingdom, and the Bemba. They made an alliance with the Liao Sultanates too to make sure that they had coverage of modern Katanga and the Zambezi areas. Meanwhile, all the Congolese were busy building an army and navy that could stand up to both their nearby African kingdoms and Europe, to the point where the French had stopped doing naval exercises near the Congo territories, whereas fearing the Congolese could actually fight at a naval battle that could be in their favor. Remember, France doesn't have the best luck in battles. Jean-Cool. The marginal line. Yeah, I think I'll get it now. So, the French and the Portuguese, fearing that an actual war could happen where the Congolese could take their colonies, decided to do it first. They asked the Bemba, Numdeble, and the Yeke if they wanted to join, and they sure as heck said yes. The Congolese, seeing the vultures come round, and made an alliance with went back to the Kuba Kingdom and the Tipu Tip. Do not get any ideas, anybody. And here was the plan for the Congolese. The Congo itself would keep the French and Portuguese at bay, and maybe also the Belgians if they try to do any funny business. Then also finally, for this part of the war, or the Congo would simply go up to Libreville and blow the shit out of it. Portugal would get too scared to actually fight them and surrender. Meanwhile, the Cuba and Tipu Tip, do not get any ideas from anyone, would fight the Yake before either the Ndeble or the Bemba could react. And they take out the Bemba, and the Ndeble, realizing they're all alone, surrender. The plan for their arrivals, though, looked a bit like this. Simple. The Portuguese and French jointly invade the Congo, go to try and defeat it as quickly as possible, knowing that there's a bulwark for the alliance. Then Ndeble and Bemba come as quickly as possible to help the Yeke defend. Or basically, both of them had each other cornered. And had perfectly prepared for the other's plans. But then the Congolese pulled an ace out of their sleeves. These small kingdoms, bordering Angola, they convinced the most powerful of them, the Bamba Songo, maybe if they wanted, if you really want to, you can go to raid Luanda, Bemba, all the big cities here. Oh, it's called Belangula. It's fair game. Everything's fair game. You can guess what they picked. The thing is that the Portuguese still defeated them, so they weren't actually able to do anything. But it gave them enough time for the Congolese to do it themselves. invading and taking Luanda by surprise before the French fleet could even arrive. By the then the French fleet then and the French fleet, after realizing they couldn't stop at Luanda, instead went to Sao Tome and Principe, only to find out the Congolese had gone for those islands too. Once they were taken, and Libreville itself was under threat. If Libreville fell, everything fell. There was no way the French could allow it to fall. It was literally one of their only possessions in Africa. So they defended it from the Congolese forces. Also, they had to defend it from the Fang, who were getting a few ideas, if you know what I mean. The fighting continued for 24 days until finally, on May the 11th of 1884, Libreville fell. Meanwhile, on the other side, Ndeble, they simply had ghosted the Bemba and Yeke. Why? So that they could carry out their own more strategically important to them invasion of the Botswanans tribes. At first it went well, but then the Swanans put their strength together and push them back to the border. Then the Ndeble realized maybe I should help, only to find that the Yeke and Bemba had already surrendered. And so finally, the Treaty of Libreville was signed. First, Sao Tome and Principe would be ceded to the Congolese. Second, the Congo would get some southern territories out of Angola, which was kind of embarrassing. Then, in Libreville, would go to a new Fang kingdom. This Fang kingdom though, the Europeans made sure was still independent from any Congo meddling, as they knew that if the Congo still were going to lose to the Congo, at least they could keep the Congo from winning again. The Fang, did still kind of want the Congo, but they also didn't want the possibility of getting totally destroyed by the French and being turned into a colony. So they backed down and conceded to being totally independent from Congo and not meddling in their in Congolese politics, which would actually would soon serve the Fang well. As they were able to industrialize without trouble. Oh, they also got Libre. Wait, didn't I say that they got Libre? And okay, besides the Fang doing their own things. Also, there was the punishment for the Bemba and Ndeble and Yeke kingdoms, because they can't just go out without getting punished. The Yeke had to cede cede the territory that they had lost. The Yeke had to cede the territory they got in the previous war to the to the West Luanda, the side that was under puppetry of the Congo. The Bemba had to give a ton of money to the Tipu Tip and the Kuba Kingdom, and a little bit extra so the Congo were still satisfied. This was for the Yeke. This was a significant blow. They had just months earlier, had won and were looking like they could be the next power of Central Africa. But no, the Congolese and their allies play all their cards so correctly that they still win. When anyways, and force a costly defeat. Also, the Congo would still be occupying Luanda for a few months after the war was over, or to collect taxes and stuff like that. It was embarrassing, and it's hard to emphasize just how sad for the Portuguese this was. And was only going to get worse, as you're going to see in the next episode. We have a few more things that did happen. Our first was that Ethiopia finally decided that expansion would be a good thing to do, specifically into the Oromo Kingdom, or the Welega, which surrendered in literally weeks. Because remember, this is a tiny kingdom against one of Africa's largest states. It's not going to last that long. The Ethiopians then decided to turn on all the neighbors, because that's just what they do. Ew. Also, the Ethiopians did make it possible for countries to just be their vassals. And so Ethiopia now also got a new source of money. This is how you play your cards right. The thing is that they weren't able to get any of the Somali states in on it, mainly because they were under the support of a recently built country that speaks a superior version of French and is horribly sad at war. The Ethiopians don't know the last part, though. Anyways, we have one last thing that happens, and it was in Morocco. Morocco had begun making more reforms, including also trying to further integrate Tunis into their economy. They also began funding guerrillas and rebels in Algeria, hoping that sometime soon the area could finally come to Moroccan hands, or maybe at least the hands of Arabs, instead of the stinky frog-eating French. Anyways, that's all the things that are happening in Africa this episode. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you want to see the rest of it. Watch part 1 and part 2 if you haven't. I should have said that earlier. and have a nice day.